Hey everybody, this is Kite Altair here, and in this video I'm going to be showing you my very own compost heap. Now, I know before a while ago, about a year, 2 years ago even, I discussed anaerobic composting, but in this video I'm going to be showing you a different type of composting that I am currently doing, and I'm going to also show you the results of it and give you some tips and tricks on how to make it smell as awesome as mine does. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get to the compost pile that I now have in my kitchen as of right now. Alrighty guys, here is my homemade composting heap. As you can see, she does look a little bit ugly. Okay, I understand. What I needed to do was make this frame that you guys see here made out of bamboo and zip ties in order to set a frame up for these two lamps that you see on either side of it. So I have one right here and one right there. Now these are the 12-foot lamp cords that I bought off Amazon, and if look at it, it's hooked up on some rings, and as well as zip ties, and they go all the way down to a power strip, and that connects to a timer. This is the mechanical timer I actually used in a previous video I made a while ago when I gave you the introduction to using a mechanical timer. So how I have this set up is every 15 minutes, this will cut on and off. Now, the reason why I have it on that type of cycle is because the temperature, when I did my initial test for this lamp, for both of these lamps, was over 100 degrees, well over. I believe it was 158 degrees, but even then, my probe, I can't record temperatures above that. So because of that, I decided, okay, I don't want this heating up to potentially 200 degrees. So what is the best way to do this? And I thought to go ahead and have it on an interval. So it gets warm, but not to the point where it can start a fire or sustain a fire, let alone, because then it'll immediately cut off after a certain point in time. So let's get a closer look and I'll start talking about the compost pile itself. Hey everybody, so we have this beautiful, delicious smelling compost heap. What I did was got this from Walmart, and I got this hay from Petco. It's just some hay. So what I did, this took actually all night for me, but you have to consider the fact that I have a gigantic container that needs to be filled. But what you want is some hay, you need some sterilized soil, and the sterilized soil ensures that you don't get any bugs as well as any invasive weeds coming into your compost, because before I had a situation where my house was definitely infested, nothing short of infested with bugs. So you want to make sure you sterilize it, which I have a video on that I'll post for you guys. It's already posted, but I'll have the link in the description as well as an annotation in the video as well. So once you sterilize the soil, you want, before you mix anything together, get a lot of soil, just normal dirt. It can be good dirt, bad dirt. I just got the poor quality soil because it's cheap and it's going to be enriched anyway. If you guys saw my anaerobic composting video I made a while ago, you'll actually see that the soil actually improved quite well. So it's cheap and you can get a lot of it. You can get the hay from Petco, and as far as the greens, the biodegradables, food stuff, you want to make sure that it's fruits and veggies, plant material. You do not by any means want any meat, definitely no meat, bones, things like that. If it's come from an animal, don't put it in here. And it's not because it's like go vegan kind of thing. No, it's because you don't want like E. coli or any infectious diseases or bacteria being able to incubate within this compost heap, because if you get, or let alone your own waste or animal waste, nothing that came from an animal, because if it incubates in here and you get infected, you could be in some serious trouble. You can be in a world of hurt, be it by getting hospitalized or, God forbid, killed, dead from the infection, from the pathogens. So only plant material. So I got some things that were not very acidic. So the plants that I normally grow do not require acidic soil. So I don't put anything that's like citrus or anything like lemons or things like that, or anything like that, because the soil I want to be as basic as possible. So what you want to do is layer it. So for me, I put in a layer of soil, a layer of foodstuffs, a layer of soil, a layer of straw, a layer of soil. So that's how you want to really have it. You can just mix it in willy-nilly if you want to, but if you have it layered like that, you'd be a lot better off because it's evenly spread out, as well as not being a mess where you have certain areas that are decomposing really well and you have some areas that have nothing to decompose except the straw, which straw takes a while to decompose to begin with. You also want to get nitrogen infusion. So if you call up any coffee shop, I called Starbucks, and I asked them if they wouldn't mind putting some coffee grounds on hold for me, their used coffee grounds. And I called several stores because if you call one store, they may or may not have enough. But if you call 3 or 4 stores, it's better to have an excess as opposed to a deficit. So the nitrogen is really, really good for plants. Now having that infusion, and I had several containers worth of used coffee grounds. I actually could make like 2 or 3 layers of it, which was pretty darn good. And it made my house smell terrific from the get-go. Like as soon as you walked in, it smelled amazing in here. And when you combine that with the smell of freshly turned earth and coffee grounds, I loved it. When I walked in, I was like, I don't want to leave this place ever again in my life. So definitely layer it. You also want to make sure that, and for clarification, this is not an anaerobic composting heap. Anaerobic means without air. This is aerobic, which means it's going to be with air. Anaerobic composting, which is without air, is a very slow process because what you're doing is getting the soil, getting all the decomposing materials, you're putting it in a pile and you're covering it and you're sealing it away from the air. That's a very slow process. It takes a lot longer to decompose. I believe when I tried it, it took about a month or so to even get it mostly broken down. But with the technique that I'm using now in this video, the aerobic composting, as well as using the 2 heat lamps that you guys saw, I had everything inside of this compost heap fully decomposed within about 3 or 4 days. And I know that sounds ridiculous, but just try it yourself and you experiment yourself and you guys will see the results. And I'll actually have a link in the description as to the heat lamps that I bought, as well as the mechanical timer. You want to make sure you have it on increments. And that is to make sure that these heat lamps don't get too hot for too long, because within 15 minutes, they start to hit 158 degrees. So what I do is have it every 15 minutes, it cuts on, and every 15 minutes, it cuts off. So as soon as you turn it on, the heat increases, and after 15 minutes, it starts going down. And that is just for fire safety. You don't want to cause a fire. You also want to make sure that like this hay that you use, it's better to have it closer to the bottom, which is something I was going to do, but then as I layered it, I didn't have enough soil, and I decided I'd be okay by moving the soil away, digging a hole so that all the heat, because it's very focused, I made sure that it's below that line, the straw was below that line, so that the heat just hits the soil underneath the soil line. And I'm pretty sure that because of all that extra heat, that's what made it decompose so quickly. So definitely want to try that if you want it to go quick. But you got to take the risk in your own hands, and you have to be responsible and think about, is it a safe thing for you to do? For me, I've already tested it. It's been about a week or 2, and I haven't had anything bad happen. I still have it on a timer, and I make sure I check it intermittently. Just make sure the straw stays away and it just hits the soil, and you should be good to go. You also want to make sure that since it's aerobic with oxygen, which is a lot quicker, you have the heat, you have the biodegradable plant stuffs. You also need to make sure you mix this. Now for me, it takes me about 10 to 15 minutes to fully mix everything together, which is why it looks like this, because before you didn't see all the straw on the surface. Most of it was a little bit on the top layer, but most of it was down in the bottom layers. But I had to mix everything, and then the straw just happened to be higher. But even now, as I dig down, I don't see no near as much straw. So most of it's at the top right now. So what I'll probably do is just mix it again later on once I put more food in here. And I'll go ahead and just make sure I have the straw primarily at the bottom. But another thing you need to focus on is the moisture as well. Because the thing is, I mean, they can't really grow unless they have heat, food, and moisture. So you don't want to soak your compost heap down, because if you do, that'll negatively impact the microbes that are actively breaking down these biodegradable plant foods, which will slow the process down or even stop it potentially. So just do a few gallons. What you want to do is, after you put in the water, just give it a few minutes so it can get taken up by the soil, and then you want to dig down. So what I do is, after I put all the water in, I dig down to the very bottom, which doesn't take that much time at all, and then just see, is it soaked or not. If it is soaked, then you just want to take account of how much you actually put in and put a little bit less in next time. So if I put in 5 gallons and it was drenched, the next time I'll probably just put in 3 gallons to see what that does. And if it's within a good healthy medium, then you know, okay, you're good to go. It doesn't need to be soaked down at all. And make sure you keep your heat lamps, keep good control of your heat lamps. Do some testing first. Don't leave it overnight. Just make sure you watch it, see what happens. And if you're comfortable with it, then you keep going with it. You can have it overnight. Like I said, for mine, it's been about 2 weeks. No, it's been actually about a week or so. A little over a week since I've had it, and nothing's happened. Everything's good. I just need to make sure that I add a lot more plants, because yeah, this was gone within 3 or 4 days, like I said before. So yeah, definitely want to add that. As far as my plants that are out there, in the other room are concerned, what I'm going to do is swap everything. So I got this crappy soil from Walmart, which is fine because I wanted crappy soil so I could enrich it. What I'm going to do is, the good soil that I have here and the crappy soil that I'm improving here, I'm going to have a swap. So after a few months or so of gardening in the room, once those plants die and I get the seeds and everything, I'm going to gather all the seeds, then I'm going to take all that soil and I'll dump it in here, and I'll take the composted soil, which is the enriched soil, take it out, put it in the pots, and that way I have a continuous cycle where I don't really need to buy any soil from the store, because I have my enriched soil. And then every 6 months to a year, take all that stuff out, take all the dead or less nutrient soil out, put it in here so it can get enriched, get the already enriched soil, put it in there, and I just have an excellent cycle going on. And that way, you just pay for this and you're set. So that's everything I have for this video. I'm probably going to show you guys the lamps, how hot they can really get. I recently ordered a food thermometer with a probe, and that'll show how hot they can really get, because it gets up to 700 degrees. I believe the range for the temperature sensor, not for the lamps, because if they got to 700 degrees, I would have a fire. So they definitely don't get that high, and especially with me having my timer on, mechanical timer, it ensures that they never get hot enough to cause fire, let alone with the precautions I have with the hole and everything. So thanks for watching this video, guys. I'll be posting another video in a few days talking about the 1 week update for my plants. So without further ado, this is Untitled here. Thanks for watching this video. Please like, subscribe, comment, share with your friends, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Have a blessed day and a perfect weekend. See you later.